Hey guys, I know the holiday season is over, but did Dana Brown really give us all the Christmas present we really wanted, or whatever you celebrate present we really wanted? Well, what about a really good closer? That could be on the Astros wish list. We'll talk about this on the special Locked On Astros podcast.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You find me on Twitter at Eric Talk Stros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. And what a great Thursday. It's not as cold out there. And as I was driving home, I get a message from Brett, and he said, dude, look what's going on. It looks like there's a chance the Astros might go out and get Josh Hader. So as soon as I get home, I'm like, well, I got to go somewhere in a little bit, but let me go ahead and do this little video real quick. And let's talk about this. Josh Hader, what if he does come to the Houston Astros? Would that be awesome? I think that the worst trade that Jeff Luhnow ever made was when he traded Brett Phillips and Josh Hader for Mike Fiers and Carlos Gomez. And not necessarily because of the whole Mike Fiers, what he did with the whole trash can skate, but with everything that you lost in Josh Hader, because you got Josh Hader for Bud Norris. You basically got him for nothing. And it was a guy that went on to become a great closer. And so I think that that was one of the worst trades. I know that Jeff Luhnow thought he needed another outfielder at the time and another starter. Mike Fiers, I'm not going to say good things about Mike Fiers, but I think that at the time he thought he needed it. But I think this is a great move. And I wanted to thank you for making a Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go and subscribe to us. Go and make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you're listening to podcasts. Check out the Locked On Astros podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. So I did hear last trade deadline that the Astros were making a push for Josh Hader and Snell. This is something I heard not just on X. This is something I just heard on outside sources as well. And so, but I know that they were trying, but just nothing ever happened. The Astros just don't have the prospects out there that you need to go out there and really get there. We heard a lot of talk that the Astros were trying to get a starter and a reliever from the Padres, but we never knew the exact names. But if the Astros have been interested in bringing back Josh Hader, he's a left-handed reliever. He is one of the best closers in baseball. He is going to demand a lot of money. And you might be saying, but what? What about Ryan Presley? He is one of the Astros' best closers in the postseason history of Houston history. Why would you replace him? He's on his final year of his contract. And how much is he going to want? And he struggles a little bit at times during the regular season. He's money during the postseason, but the Astros are trying to look ahead. And this is something that Jeff Luhnow was really good at. He would look ahead, not just for what he needs now, but what he needs in the future. And so you're not just addressing a need. Kendall Graveman's out for the whole season. The Astros have this need for a reliever now. They have lost Ryan Stanek. They have lost Hector Neris. They have lost Phil Maton. They have lost somebody else I can't think off the top of my head. But you have lost a whole bunch of people out of your bullpen. And there's talks that the Astros are not really interested in bringing back Hector Neris because he's wanting about $16.6 million. So if you're going to go out there and pay Hector Neris $16.6 million, why not go for the big guy? Why not go for Josh Hader? Yes, he's going to demand a lot of money. He's going to demand a lot of years. He's looking for Edwin Diaz type contract. For those of y'all that don't know that how much Edwin Diaz got, he got 5 years, $102 million. So that's about $20 million per season. So if you're willing to pay 3 years of $16.6 million for Neris, wouldn't you be willing to go maybe extra $4 million per year and maybe extra 2 years for one of the best closers in baseball? Uh-huh. Yes, let's do it. I would think so. And this is a guy that is coming back home. And this is a guy that is left-handed. He throws hard. He strikes out batters. He has a great history. This is not a guy that is a reclamation project. He's somebody that has proven history. So I know that if you're looking at the modern baseball era starting 1901, this is from Channel Roan. Hader is the career leader with a 156 opponent's batting average and 15 strikeouts per 9 innings, minimum of 300 innings since he's come up. His fastball velocity did drop from 97.4 miles per hour to 96.1 in 2023. His walk rate increased to 13% last year, but he is still strikeout batters. He is still getting the job done. So this is a guy that if you bring him to Houston, I know he never really got a chance to play with the Houston Astros, but this wasn't really his initial place where he was drafted, but he knows a lot of the guys in Houston area. He came up with Lance McCullers. He played with a lot of these players on this team. So I think that he would fit in on this roster. So I think that if you're looking to replace Kendall Graveman, I know a lot of people say Kendall Graveman is not that good. Yes, he was. He as an Astro, his success is not that great. But Josh Hader would be a great replacement there. And he'd be a guy that would be like, yeah, that would be great. So he's only 29 years old. 29 years old for 5 years. Then that would be what? He'll be 34 years old at the end of his contract. He'll still be a young enough closer to maybe extend him at some point. So I think that if the Astros, will Jim Crane do this? The problem is Jim Crane does not like going over a certain amount of years for certain players. So will he do that? That's something we'll have to talk about. And so nothing set in stone. This is just something that Ken Rosenthal has brought up, and it's kind of spreading like wildfire. But this is something that I did want to kind of address. And while we're addressing this, let me go ahead and talk to you about GameTime. Have you ever wanted to go to a game, maybe back in the day when Randy Johnson was on the mound and there's no tickets available, and you're like, how do I get tickets? Well, GameTime, I know GameTime wasn't available back then when Randy Johnson was on the mound, but GameTime is there for you. If you want to go to the game and you didn't get the tickets from the Astros or you didn't get it from somewhere else, go to GameTime. It's last minute deals, flash deals, zone deals, easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area, not just Astros games, concerts, anything. You get to see the views from any seat that you want to sit in, and it's the lowest price guaranteed. Events cancellation protection, job loss protection, etc. So you can see the view from your seat before you buy it. That's awesome. And you see all the prices up front. So you know you're getting a great deal before you do it. So buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps, and it's not that hard. So GameTime is just an awesome feature. I know Brett has used it a lot of times. He's like, you know what? I want to go to the game today. He's like, let's go to GameTime and find a good deal. And if a price doesn't match what you said, GameTime will make it up to you. So download the GameTime app, create an account, and use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code Locked On. That's LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guarantee. So we know that Neris is a possibility for the Astros. I would say that him asking $16.6 million, that's a lot of money. And I said yesterday, that's closer money. Sorry if you can hear the ambulance in the background. But if you're talking about going for somebody that's going to require closer money and who's actually a closer, Josh Hader is the guy. Now, the problem is you have Joe Espada. He's a first-year manager. He's going to have 2 closers on the team. Would Josh Hader, he's 29 years old. He's probably got this big ego about him. He's a veteran now, but he's still probably got this big ego. Would he be okay being the backup, the setup guy to Ryan Presley for 1 year? Or would they be okay being a closing duo? Would they be okay with that? So that's a question that the Astros are having to ask themselves. Or how will Ryan Presley take this? I mentioned the other day, how did Framber Valdez feel once the Astros reacquired Justin Verlander? He was the ace. Now the Astros felt like they needed another ace. Now they went and traded for Justin Verlander again. And then did that hurt Framber Valdez? So now Ryan Presley is the closer. He's been a pretty darn good closer. Now, if you go get Josh Hader for 5 years, what does this say about Ryan Presley? So that's a question that I think that Joe Espada and Dana Brown have to answer. But I think that this is something that, you have to look. Does the hurt feelings, what it's going to cost you, the hurt feelings, maybe some animosity in the clubhouse? Is it worth having Hader in the clubhouse? I mean, Hader's not a bad guy. Yes, he had a questionable history, some comments that he had in social media. But from what we hear, we don't know him personally, but from what we hear, he's a good guy. So he's not going to be a clubhouse guy, but the fact that he's coming in to replace a pretty darn good closer. So I think that that's something to take in consideration. Would Josh do it? Would he come to Houston knowing he's maybe not the closer the first year? Joe Espada, he's a first-year manager. That's a big job for him to decide. Okay, who's the closer? Is it Ryan Presley or is it Joe? Is it Josh Hader? I had a brain fart right there. So that's a big decision he'll have to make his first year. So also, this is a chance for the Astros to make up for that bad trade. I know I mentioned this at the start of the show, but a lot of people are just joining podcasts. That was one of the worst trades in Astros history. Jeff Luhnow, he did a great job as GM. He went out there and looked ahead. He knew he went out and got the players ahead of time to I think that Zach Greinke was a good player. I'm not sure if Zach Greinke was under Luhnow on top of my head, but not just looking for this year, but knowing that you had him for a couple of years, just players that you have under control. And so if you're going to get somebody like Hader, who's going to take a 5-year deal worth $100 million plus, you're going to have a closer for 5 years. So I know that Hader probably wants to win a World Series. He probably wants to add that to his resume. So I think that he would take that in consideration. So it just depends on what factors go into the decision here. But the fact that Jim Crane I know that Dana Brown's not going to go out there and without talking Jim Crane and talk to Hader's agent and be like, yeah, we'll go and talk these numbers without getting some type of pre-approval from Jim Crane. Hey, can we give a pitcher after what the albatross of a contract that was Rafael Montero? Can we give a pitcher 5 to 6 years deal, $20 million a year? Are you going to be okay with that? And Jim Crane, apparently last year, they tried to go get Josh Hader as well, maybe even Snell. So the question is, would Jim Crane go past this? Oh, I don't want to give pitchers that long-term deal. Last time they gave a pitcher a long-term deal, it was what? Lance McCullers? No offense, but how has that worked out for the Astros? So it's just very, very, very scary with pitchers. And I think that's why Framber Valdez may not get a contract with Houston. I think other teams are more willing to take that risk than the Astros are. So also, if the Astros go out and get Josh Hader, they're going way over the luxury tax threshold. So they don't give a crap about that. And also, does that mean Kyle Tucker is likely gone? Alex Bregman likely gone. Is that going to take money from other people? So that's just something else to take in consideration. Would I love Josh Hader on this team? Yes. Part of what has made the Astros so good the past few years has been the bullpen. A good bullpen, a good rotation, somewhat a good offense, at times great offense, that would win the Astros a World Series. So Josh Hader would add to that. So the key is, can all the pieces fit? Can you get it done? So that's a question that we'll have to see over the next week or so. Spring training's coming up. I think all teams are waiting for this guy, not Eric Huysman, Josh Hader. Once Josh Hader signs with the team, I think you're going to see dominoes fall all across the league. And so if the Astros are willing to throw this type of money at Josh Hader, they are willing to go over the luxury tax threshold. They're willing to go out and get some of these other guys. So we'll see. And Clint says offense can win games too. Just look at the Rangers. But the Rangers did have a good rotation for most parts, somewhat. Their bullpen was not great, but they did pitch great against the Astros. A lot of Rome Loves Dan says it was the worst trade since Morgan trade back in 1972. Yes. So let's see what else. Isaac says that Josh Hader would be needed in Houston. Yes. You'll get your situational lefty for this year. Espada, here. We're paying $20 million for your lefty. There you go. I'm just kidding there. Clint says you better to have two closers since Ryan isn't getting any younger. That's true. So we're just looking at anything else. Speedy says, for real? Well, we don't know. This is just speculation. This is just talk. Ken Rosenthal said that the Astros are pushing. They're pushing for Josh Hader. Hey, is Josh Hader available? Okay. How much? Sure. Okay. Well, what about this number? Okay. We'll get back to you. That's them pushing. So will they get the deal done? I think Jim Crane will have to kind of loosen the pocketbook a little bit and loosen some of the years, because I don't think the Astros' concerns in the past have been really about the money. It's been about how many years. And so we'll see. But guys, before I go, I do want to tell you a little bit about FanDuel. FanDuel, the Texans, they're playing a playoff game. Are the Cowboys playing a playoff game this weekend? I don't think so. But the Texans are. So the Texans, wow. The NFL season is wrapping up, but there's still time to get action with FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book out there. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. So go to GameTime. Sorry, not GameTime, but go to FanDuel. Go download the app. It's super easy to use. What are the lines for this weekend's game with the Texans? It's right here. Texans and Ravens, even right there. I guess if you're looking at the over-under, the Ravens are slightly favor, but I think this is going to be pretty much an even game. If you're a Texans fan, of course you're going to go there, but FanDuel, they're a little bit more objective. So if you want to get the real advice, go to FanDuel. So it's same day parlays, find bets in the new Explorer tab, make a parlay in the Parlay Hub. It's the best way to find popular parlays. So go visit fanduel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, it's the official partner of the NFL. So in closing, will the Astros do what it takes to go get Josh Hader? Maybe. What about Jim Crane and how he operates tells you they will? What big name free agent have they gone out to get outside of the Astros organization? If they do, I'm going to be super excited. Okay. But this will be just a kind of change of philosophy. Maybe this is just something that the Astros just realize, hey, we really need to do something. This team is good, but other teams are getting better. So, guys, we'll go and talk some more about this later. But thank you for watching the Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. Go and make sure you make us your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go subscribe to us. Go make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Check out the Locked On Astros podcast, and we will see you tomorrow. Go Astros.